Here we are back again in Hall 1, where we are going to talk about AIT Climate-KIC initiatives on Western Balkans, as well as on the support that this program is having, and why, what are the reasons for this, etc., etc. I will actually wait for maybe 2 more minutes, just for people to allow people to rejoin or to change their halls, and we will start in maybe 2 or 3 minutes. But by then, I would ask the Collective Vibe personnel to allow Annalisa to become panelist, because we need to talk. So, Collective Vibe, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. Can you please promote Annalisa Spalazzi to panelist?
Of course.
Thanks.
Sorry, we were having some issues and we were looking into how to resolve them.
Okay.
Hi, hello, good morning.
Hi, Annalisa.
Hi, Milan.
It's really good to see you. So, wow, you need really a strong computer power to do all these things. Beautiful. I don't know if you can hear me or hear me. Can you see me or hear me? Yes? Because on my end, it's a little bit buggy, but there we go, back again. All right. So welcome to the session where we are going to delve deeper in the world of AIT Climate-KIC as a organization, or an institute actually, that, and in this sense, it's a knowledge and innovation center that promotes and that actually leads our way and helps us in many cases and in many areas in order to facilitate innovation, systemic innovation, and to go towards a climate neutral society. Climate-KIC and all the partners have been creating projects and delivering projects in well, in many years before, and Climate-KIC was one of the players, or actually the main player, that has supported creation of circular economy beacons that connects, currently they connect seven countries in Balkan area. So that's one of the goals of circular economy beacons, to connect the region in one single goal, and that is to accelerate the right and innovative circular economy. So with me today is Annalisa Spalazzi. As always, it's a great pleasure to talk with you and to see you in this setup. And first of all, I would like to enjoy our talk more than be too formal about it. So how are you? How are you these last days of 2020? What is the overall feeling and the overall lesson learned after this year?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Milan. It's always a pleasure for me to speak to you and to all our colleagues and partners across Europe. Well, how I feel, I think like everyone a bit overwhelmed of the different year that we have lived. But actually, I feel I'm still open for a lot of surprises. Like when I joined the conference today and I saw all the portal, I was kind of amazed, and I was like, how far can we go in creativity? So it was a kind of a good mood for me to start the day. And yeah, I think that we are still positive because we have been really on creative mood. So, and you,
Yeah.
how are you feeling at this important event?
Thanks very much. Well, it's it is one of the last events in our portfolio. I'm a little bit relieved because we managed to pile up everything that we plan to do, and the effects are just starting to ramp up, and that's what makes me happy. Even though it was really a difficult one in regards to all the transition towards online business. But that's a new reality, and that's why at the beginning we said we have to build back better and to be more adaptive to the circumstances that are coming. So just constantly innovate, and in our mission is innovate in circular way, is the way that we see it forward. Thanks for asking. Okay, instead of we have a bunch of questions here before us, and the first one that I would like to start is what is the AT Climate-KIC direction in regards to circular economy? Because there are many initiatives that you support that are cross-boundary, that are collaborative by nature, that entangle this systemic thinking. Let's try to share a couple of words about this, and also we can talk, or if you want to share the presentation, we can start with the presentation and then move forward with conversation.
Sure. Well, I think we can start conversation, and I have some supportive slides that can help when there are some concepts that maybe can also help our audience to follow. But probably to start, it's good also to have a bit of a overview, as you said, on what is Climate-KIC and what is our approach for circular economy. Maybe we can start saying on what KIC stands for. So as you said, a knowledge innovation community. So whatever we are doing, we do through the network for community and through innovation. Also, we are tackling climate change with the innovation approach. But what we have realized in the 10 years of activities that have been working on education, entrepreneurship, so supporting a lot of startups, innovation projects, was that you need a system approach to the overall challenge. Otherwise, all the actions that we are taking without responding to each other and being single point solutions are not really leading to the change that we are seeing. And that's something that actually we had not realized alone, but with our set of partners, let's say, so the overall community. And that's why also we are inspired ourselves when we have projects like circular economy beacons, for example, because we are really trying to work on the ecosystem and how we can change the whole ecosystem of innovation. So we talk about system innovation, and I will share just one slide because I think will be helpful to grasp what we mean and also what it means for circular economy context. You should be seeing it. Let me make it a bit bigger, like this. Voila. And why I'm showing this one exactly is because it shows a bit what we mean with system approach. So it doesn't mean that whatever we are doing as an action is responding to all the challenges, but that everything we are doing has to be connected with the other actions we are implementing. So it means firstly that we have to know. So we have to map, we have to understand, and we have to know our system, and then we can act. But we have to be really understanding what we are changing. And that's also the approach that we are having in circular economy. And as you can see, this is actually responding very well together because system innovation and circular economy are really matching. Also because circular economy is a concept that talks to everyone. It talks to citizens and raise awareness. It talks to policymakers. It talks to businesses. So it's something that can really lead us to a change and can really lead us to understand system innovation and so the change. That's why this is also one of the maximum priority that we are considering in Climate-KIC, and many of our activities are really connected to how we can implement the system innovation approach with circular economy.
Yeah, so basically, if we're talking about systems and system thinking and systems innovation, it's a rather new concept, at least for people that I constantly communicate to or collaborate with. And it's really about knowing it, and and on the other side, it's meta talk if we don't delve into this and start mapping these connections, actors, the ways the systems can be changed. It's a completely new way of seeing how the development, and part of development is innovation also, is going to be pushed. Is there any experience or any drawbacks that you saw in this kind of understanding of when you talk to peers, or when you talk to colleagues, or when you talk to partners even, how to embed their systemic thinking and systems innovation in their everyday conduct, in their planning, in their deliverables, etc., etc.?
Absolutely, and you are perfectly right, which is not easy, and if probably we are not yet working in these directions, and we need innovation to do it, is because it's not so easy, and we need to be even more creative probably than what we have been now in the last period, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But indeed, the idea of thinking of it is really to not try to answer to all the questions, because this is really causing very much the sense of overwhelming. And also we have seen, and we are being active in climate activities together, we know how it's difficult also for people to imagine when you talk about climate change, because it's something that you think you cannot act on it. So if you speak about system innovation and you don't give people the direction on what is their role in this system, this might really cause just that people feel lost and will not really act, but be back in the negative mood. So what we are acting as our first actions in our programs and activities is really to have this mapping, this picture, so that we can really identify where every organizations and every actor fits in this overall picture, and to make understand that this is a point of the system that we are changing, and this is probably acting other reactions. But firstly, you have to have really visually, so the network mapping in this case are working really, really well, so that you can position yourself and what is the change that you are enabling. And then to realize that you need to be in a portfolio, which is also another concept that is at the core of our business, but also that you are part of a portfolio, that you are delivering a specific result that, if it's connected to others, can deliver a major impact, but is not useless compared to a huge challenge that we are tackling. So it's really to feel that everyone is part of a little bit of the mechanism of the change. So it's might be looking maybe theoretical, but I think, for example, all the activities on raise awareness, when we are talking about them, seems that can be not really making any change. But once you have acted in the consumers, and then consumers will be more careful on choosing products, so changing industries, this will influence also how policies are made. So in the end, every single action can have a scale effect. Of course, just one single action cannot solve the issue. That's why we need to speak about system innovation, mostly when we want to deliver a circular society and we want to solve issues like climate change.
Yeah, well, one thing that ring my ear constantly is that you're talking about connection between portfolio. Well, actually, building a portfolio is connected set of activities or projects or initiatives that focus on a singular goal, but the same vision or similar vision, and that should be aimed for impact mostly. And that's, maybe we can dwell more on impact goals of Climate-KIC. Maybe it's for some other session, but the another important topic is that you have mentioned the policies that are here to be created. And what I constantly or usually have a barrier is, yeah, that is great, is the comment actually. Yes, this is great, but we don't have policy, or we don't have law for this. There are a couple of new policies that are created on the European Union level, and specifically tackling circular economy. And most probably most of our audience know about Circular Economy Action Plan, the European Green Deal, and what is maybe more specifically directed towards our region is West Balkans Green Agenda. So how is Climate-KIC tackling these? How are you trying to facilitate change and speed up basically transition of society towards achieving goals of these documents? And so what are the activities? How do you see knitting with these or connecting with these?
That's an absolutely very good momentum indeed. As you mentioned, there are so many things that are happening, and we are really in a transition period also for Europe, but for the Western Balkans is a probably even more important moment of change. And we have to be able to really navigate this change and not to be surfaced by it. And that's important then to know which are those policies and what are those meaning. So for the Western Balkans in particular, apart from the green agenda, there are really other supportive implementation plans that are coming, like the economic and investment plan for the Western Balkans from the EU, but also the common regional market and economic action plan that will also influence activities in 2021 and 2024. And why I'm mentioning it, those also, I will mention actually a fourth one together with those, which is also an upcoming agenda on research and innovation, which is also connected to education, culture, and youth. And I think those have to be looked as a mix. In Climate-KIC, we work on it in terms of policy mix, because the major issue when you have such many policy that are also at different level are sometimes difficult to understand, and you might risk that there is not inclusion of all of those in terms of results. So sometimes it's really at policy level that is difficult to design how you are going to implement programs, because those have similar lines, probably budgets allocated for them, but are not responding to each other. So together with this mapping, it's really important to start from the understanding of this policy mix, what every action is meaning for, and how this can contribute for the overall picture. Of course, in particular, there is the green agenda, but I think it's relevant also to know that all the others are also mentioning about circular economy and the needs of innovation for circular economy, and how the knowledge exchange and also this better communication among good practices or even bad practices among the whole European countries, so including Western Balkans, is a fundamental aspect to achieve those goals. And it's important also the fact that finally the green agenda for the Western Balkans has really been designed to be integrated to the Green Deal. So this means that really there is the willingness to make sure that we are all aware that the transition is possible only if it's all together. So there's a good momentum politically, let's say, and also at a higher strategic level. Now it's really in terms of how we can make those in the ground apply and be implemented that is the challenging part. So we have good strategies, now we need to make them actually work. And this is there that we can support, and we are also intervening, and we have already started several discussions, particularly in the Western Balkans, and not only as Climate-KIC, but together with EIT, how we can support. So the European Institute of Technology, which is the supporter of all the KICs, how can be also supportive innovation bringing in the region, so that also those policies are not just staying as a strategy, but can be really beneficial for people on the ground. So I think that the first step will be really the understanding of how those policies can connect together. So really this point on making the common regional market and economic action plan be connected to the green agenda, and then move on. Just maybe a few words on the green agenda, and you know how passionate I'm on this topic, so if I'm talking too much, you know that you have to stop me.
No, I'm just counting the questions of how to continue. There are at least 5, but yeah, please. Actually,
I will just close quickly then on the green agenda, just because there are some elements that I think I've been raising particularly interestingly, because there's a lot talked about moving to circular economy as one of the 5 main action, which is already quite innovative in itself, and also to highlight as a priority, but how this actually connects also with the depolluting air and water, but also with the energy transition, the food system. So I think that what is interesting is that really we need to see how those are not single actions, but how we are acting on those all together. And this is the challenge that I would really be supportive in terms of a system innovation approach like the one Climate-KIC brings, how can help in understanding this tricky, complex system.
Yeah, okay. Then I'll focus on 2 questions. You've again mentioned the connection of outputs, the synergies actually that we have to create. And there are two aspects of this. One is that we have also designed this whole project in order to create these synergetic effects. And now I see that, that we also are hitting the spot of synchronizing policies and, you know, putting them on trying to put them on the ground, actually actualizing them, you know, putting them in practice, not only, you know, having them for good sake and leaving them in drawers, but planning our activities according to these synchronized strategies, policies, etc. So one question from this side would be, what would be the overall view of Climate-KIC towards circular economy beacons and maybe similar activities that not only under this brand or this name could be called, but something that could produce a similar effect? And on the other hand, I've heard the stories and the thing about something that is called cross-KIC. And maybe this is another way of collaborating between different knowledge innovation communities that have different set of expertise, different experiences, and also they're doing in different regions. So let's try to bundle these questions in one. Like, what is the overall view on circular economy beacons in regards to connection, and how it is connected to cross-KIC activities? All in regards to circular economy. Let's try to focus on this as well to frame.
Sure. So I will try to be as short as possible for the for the complexity of the request. But thank you again for interesting discussion on that. So I think I can maybe mention as a start that this can be made real because we have seen this actually applying in the case of Slovenia, in which we are working with the government for the actually actualization and implementation of a circular economy action plan that was designed by the government and was needed for the implementation. And this has showed us actually, and also made us learn how you can put into planning and programming the activities of a strategy and an action plan. So that's where we started in terms of a huge milestone for the understanding also on how to work in such complexity in circular economy, but also how we can connect initiatives like the beacons that is really working on how we activate those local ecosystem for innovation on circular economy, which is really the basics before starting any other change. Otherwise, without the ecosystem, we know that it's impossible to even work in policy or education or even businesses. Sorry. So the idea is that really we can scale up our activities across the region, but also elsewhere, and working in other countries, and through the development of the ecosystem of the circular economy beacons to activate those ecosystems through the learnings and the understanding of the other systems we have been working on. Of course, taking into account that thanks to such projects, we can understand which is actually how is composed this ecosystem and what it needs exactly, so that we can also bring in the right pace and not just go by chance, as this is usually a kind of waste of resources, as we are talking on saving resources and circular economy. We have also to do so in terms of learnings and how we are activating. To answer better, maybe also here I will have the support of a couple of slides so that are more visual for our participants. Let me make it a bit bigger. Okay, so because I'm trying to work with two screens. So you see here, there are this is just a general map of the last couple of years of projects only focused on the Balkans region and what we have been able to support in terms of projects and programming together. And that's already quite, from the title, you can see that we have been working on policy through the smart specialization strategies in Bulgaria and Greece. So how you can implement circular economy in those, but also in the deep demonstration approach, which is our biggest system innovation initiative in Slovenia and Bulgaria, but as well as in the academy, so the Academy of Circular Economy, that have seen you actually really a protagonist on how we can enhance education and capacity building, and sometimes also in terms of value chains. So how you work on construction sector, on cities specifically, or even in the food sector. So that's already showing that you actually need a lot of transversality and synergies and interconnections among projects, among partners, and circular economy beacons actually is really bringing a lot of what is in this slide of what we have been doing till now together and expanding it, which is already a good milestone for us. But then as you mentioned, we also need to build more synergies that can be with the other KICs. So having several KICs, so several knowledge and innovation communities across Europe can be an even additional added value, because we know that circular economy is such a complex topic that we can we are tackling it through the system innovation approach in Climate-KIC, and also because we want to impact on the mostly on the air pollution component and neutrality. So that's our approach. But we are facilitated by the fact that we are working with other KICs that can have a different approach. So currently we have 8 KICs. So it might be of interest for the audience to know if there is not knowledge about what they are in general. And Climate-KIC is on the first wave, so started 10 years ago with digital and energy. But then in the years there were several others joining on food, raw materials and health. And just last year, we have started working also on urban mobility and manufacturing. These are all societal challenges that are primary for Europe. And you might recall what I'm saying together with several of the elements that are key in the Green Deal, but also in the Green Agenda for the Western Balkans. So all those sectors are relevant, and those are verticals where we can see climate as a horizontal issue to be tackled. And I will be jumping just to another part, so to not give you too much details, but I think this is also one point that can be of interest for you. So to help me to resume what we are doing.
Very simple graphics.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to be really visual, because sometimes some visual can support. But then if there are interest for more information, of course, we can give them for the specifics. But what we have realized together with VAT and the other KICs is that circular economy is something you need to start all together in Synergies and see where to act on. And also we have been basing a proposal on a cross-KIC, which is simply an approach that means that KICs are coming together, so bringing together the expertise from different perspectives and different business models and acting on a specific topic. In this case, it's circular economy, and we thought this is the best approach we can support the Western Balkans with. And that's why 7 of the 8 KICs are going to start next year to cooperate. And we are actually already doing a lot of this study and understanding of these strategies so that we can bring this innovation and learnings on the communities. And this is also to show how actually there's not just one approach you can have, there are several. There are places where an approach like the urban mobility in cities, and I'm thinking on Sarajevo and Skopje, just to reconnect to the session of just before from my colleagues on how it's needed to work on air pollution. And that's really obvious, the connection urban mobility, but also the air quality, climate, and the circular economy. Or there can be other cases where we need to work on the raw materials, knowing also that we are having regions that are still very much connected to coal and the mining sector. So that's the ambition that we are having, and it's really to support Western Balkans in the green and sustainable transition through the implementation of this green agenda that is coming, and making sure that we are understanding also the system. And that's the general overview. But if you have more, if you want to know more about some specific aspect, you can ask.
Yeah, that will be one of the next questions. How can we approach, and what is the position actually in various KICs in our region? It's not the situation that AIT as an umbrella organization is present in every country, and all of the KICs are present in all the countries. So that means that some of the KICs have more experience in certain countries, less in some other, but also in some areas, as you said, but less in some other. What is the way to approach? What is the way to suggest? What is the way to collaborate with different KICs? And yeah, let's start with this one.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So yeah, as you are very well aware, we have not been with VAT and the KICs very much spread across the whole Western Balkan region, and this is actually why there's this initiative that is going to help also the support from the KICs as a organization themselves to be reaching out closely to the local market and the institutions. So there are some like Climate-KIC and raw materials that have been much more present till now, also because of the topics, of course, that were covered and also having a major history. While for the others, this initiative initiative that will start with network mapping, just to connect with what we said before. So to really understand the system. So really understanding firstly a desk research on all the strategies, then in moving next year at the beginning with an active and interactive system mapping and engaging local actors on doing that, so that then we can see which are the priorities per country and where each KIC can intervene, but also enable all the partners, beneficiaries and organizations, but also citizens locally to know what those KIC are and what they can bring as an added value. So it will be also really to enable the openness of all programs that all those KICs are having, not only to open spaces for innovation locally, but also for enabling this, just to always keep the circularity in our mind, the circular movement of brains, so that people can go abroad for some of the programs and turn back home with new skills. That is also another aspect that we are going to open as different KICs, and also to help understand how we are working, because of course sometimes when you are in an innovation space, and I think you are very much aware, it's not usually so easy to understand what is the way of working. So first step will be really understanding, mapping, engaging, and make everyone understand what is done. Then we are going to have also initiatives that are going to be mostly connected to what we heard before. Some of the activities are going to be connected to circular catalyst, but we are going also to have activities connected to universities and training universities, enabling also the joint work to the platform on circular economy on education that we are really hoping to engage with CirEkon and the partners currently active in the region on, to expand it even further. And also to have policy co-creation workshops and so on. So several, and as well as, sorry, maybe the last but not the least, one of the activities will be also on training for youth with business ideas that can be connected to one of the pan-European programs that we have as multi-sector, which is the Jumpstarter. So we are going also to have a pre-acceleration on that to support locally the youth in green ideas. So these are going to be really initial, but this will be really helping each other to know each other and see where we should support more for the implementation of the plans.
Thanks. Well, while you are mapping the system and how the collaboration could be crafted, I think that the major task for all the participants is also to go on AIT site and actually map what is happening there, because there is a lot of initiatives, more and more being connected. And talking about this, what I know from the experience, and maybe that's valuable also information, is that usually sole activities and project with singular effects that are not connected, and that's why I also have emphasized map this. Let's try to map the system of AIT and their embedded impact goals. If we are not producing systemic and connected and synergetic effects, there is low probability to actually get into this really a different mindset of how the innovation sets. So there has to be a period of good collaboration, of good delivery of impacts, true impacts, honest impacts. And I know that from my experience, you know, that these people are wonderful and giving their best to really produce the best positive impact. Sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's less difficult, but it's not easy, that's for sure. But with with time, I think that we're all getting to understand each other more and more, and that's maybe time is one of the most valuable things that we need to ensure for all of the new potential either partners or colleagues or actors that want to collaborate. At this moment, being that we have 12 more minutes, I would like to invite the audience to ask Q&As, their questions in the Q&A section. Also, if you are, being that we are streaming this on all the Facebooks and YouTubes and whatnot platforms, if you are in Collective Vibe platform, which is basically the main streaming platform for this event, you can always leave the streaming and join us in Zoom panel, so we can have your questions and analysis and discussion from your side. But until we have some pop-up questions here, I would like to ask another one, and again, it's about creating synergies. So one of the main one of the main sets of activities is circular economy beacons is actually creating, that's the set of activities, creating collaboration between different initiatives in Climate-KIC. And we have talked and we have actually delivered some of these together with City Loops, for instance, the project. There was a nice synergy, cross-learning and, you know, exchanging experiences, how to create additional, well, exercises, trainings, materials, etc. We have also contacted, or actually being in contact and trying to facilitate connection with one of the major programs, which is CirEkon, that is really going deeper on enabling policies and these kind of higher systems in order to speed up the circular economy throughout Europe, not only European Union, but Europe. So I just wanted to make sure that that we're clear and that you can point out what are the success stories in this collaboration happening so far, and what are maybe the priorities where people would be wanting to take closer attention on the developments of these projects. What are the names? What are their results? What are their goals?
Yeah, but not an easy one, because there could be depends on the approach that what we want to highlight, I would say, but I think you have nicely also built on the synergies, and that's already something that it's not so obvious, because it seems when you are there, because there are so many things and you think, okay, maybe we can just synergize, but in the end it's never so obvious. So that's a bit the what we have to try to work on. And that in the fact is that sometimes Climate-KIC is working really as an intermediate level leadership organization, so can help and facilitate this connection and bring in those added values, innovations coming from the ecosystem, and bridge with the policymakers, because we are still a European funded and connected body. And that's also one of the other value that brings a good results and good learning, because we can really interface the both level and see what we can bring back as evidence and what we can also extrapolate from policies to our ecosystem. And that's the where we are positioning, and where we want to really be positioned also for the future to support our partners and in general the ecosystem that we are supporting. As a good well, you were mentioning that a good as a good story and important story, I would say, the platforms and all that has been created with CirEkon, which is actually creating this network and a joint programming of the people writing operational programs. So it's more really technical in terms of how you make policies, but how you can make policies in circular economy really at pan-European level. And that's also one of the objectives that we would have in next year, to bring all the stakeholders in policy making in this regard be part of this platform, so that really the exchange can be even more fruitful. And this can be done through the ecosystem, because you are the ones closer to the ecosystem. So we are the ones that can be really building the bridge, but then we need our local partners to act as the really activator. I would say that as an image. So the activator, then the nodes that can connect and bring in on the upper level. As best good practices, I think a couple that can be outstanding, as I was mentioning already, the one on the Slovenia case. But this is also happening similarly in other places. So like in Ireland, or even in the region of Cantabria in Spain. So not only at country level, but really also regionally. And it's always really on this fact, on basically understanding that circular economy can be also reducing this gap on how you can still work on the economic, wealthy, healthy growth, and still preserving the environment and the resources. So once you can make this understanding and can help understand how you can design programs, then this can be really a best practice. And still you have to know the local context to adapt it. But in general, when you start to have several of those cases, it's helpful also for people on the ecosystem locally to join. Other good cases are connected also to single actions, like we were having the one project that I was mentioning on the smart specialization strategy. that was how you can actually connect other strategies in circular economy to the S3, which is one of the priorities for innovation. And we actually had this project implemented last year in Bulgaria and Greece. In Bulgaria, it led to the creation of an interministerial working group on circular economy, where Climate-KIC and also our local partner, Cleantech Bulgaria, are part of, and which was the case where that was totally also out of context yet in terms of considering this circular economy in this frame, while in Greece, where there was already a circular economy strategy and there was a smart specialization strategy, we are really worked supporting with our local partners, in this case Athena Research Center, how we can make it jointly actually work together and transitioning. And all the results of those projects have been included in the design of and the suggestion for design on the next programming period for 2021-2027. All those are small actions that if you see them as a single point, of course, are not really telling anything, but if you start to see the overall picture, are actually really reshaping the policies for countries to enable them to then activate actions for people to and beneficiaries to act on businesses and circular economy. So it's really what you see after your action, not only the action itself, but really what this will be activating next. And I think that maybe this can be my question to you if you don't have other questions yet. So what would be that you see the ecosystem activation, well, that you are activating with the circular economy beacons, so that can be brought in as well? If I can make a question on my side.
Please, yeah. Well, this was supposed to be also discussion. Maybe I took the host initiative, but yeah, definitely I would like to answer all of these. So basically, beacons are here to integrate efforts, and I can most practically say in these terms. So you have managed to create S3 and circular economy, initiatives in 2 countries. And next year, circular economy beacons is a place to scale. So we want to scale this activity because we also saw that it will be beneficial for other countries, and to couple up to couple S3 and circular economy initiatives and help cross-ministerial and cross-border collaboration on that level. So on a strategic, national, and regional level. So that's one of the things, like the integrator of activities, or creating a synergizer of activities. On the other hand, it's a very strong connection between experts. What we realize is there are not many of people that are really comprehensively understanding circular economy, and instead of creating sporadic activities and quick wins, let's call it like that, we want to build an ecosystem, a true ecosystem that will grow and not only grow in number of people or number of organizations that will join, but grow in the impact. That's maybe even more important, to grow in impact that we are creating. And one of the first impacts that now we are finalizing is that through this constant collaboration throughout, well, this was now 6 months, from June practically until December, we have managed to assimilate all the knowledge that we have from the partners, to spend many hours of co-creating, co-designing, discussing of what are the differences between the Western Europe circular economy and RIS, and in this sense, Balkan circular economy. What are the differences in needs? What are the differences in capabilities? What are the differences in skills? In order to create our common frameworks, and we started with business implementation framework. So how to combine all the knowledge that we're creating, that also is actually very largely not dependent, but contributed from the AIT knowledge pool, and create something that is mixed and that has a slightly or completely different approach than it was there was up until now, and that will facilitate better understanding of circular economy as the region needs it. So at that moment, there's not only the synchronizer between the countries, but also the bridge between 2 different points of understanding of circular economy and different capability options as well. So I would point in these 2 main roles of circular economy beacons, and all striving to create better and bigger impacts. I hope you're satisfied with my answer, that we passed the exam.
It's just bringing me to think on kind of 1, 2, 3, 4 things to do next year. But I think we can have another, let's say, another chapter next year about that.
Exactly. Well, this is first. I would like to call this as a first initiative in this regional scale. We have learned just recently that there was another regional conference, and actually that shouldn't happen, right? To have a couple of days before this have in different organization, a different regional conference, because we could really create synergies if we would just have all the participants in the same room. And that's again, that's the synergetic effect that we want to create.
Indeed. Well, as we said, we are starting next year early on the mapping and understanding on each other, so being really closely, so that, as you said, those are going to be synergized. And there are a lot of things happening, which is good, means that there is activities that are flourishing, but we need just to find the dots and connect them. So,
Yeah.
so thank you for the effort and all the planning you are doing and all the activities of these 2 days.
Oh yeah, well, it's in last 6 months, but it's culminating here.
Indeed.
Well, it's fun. I can say it's fun. It's adventurous. It's definitely every day a new lesson, new actor. Now almost in every session there is a colleague or a partner of ours that is actually interested in how and where circular economy goes, and that's what we want to facilitate, right? Further, better, stronger, and more collaboration across the fields. Annalisa, I think that we don't have questions, right? And or we were so good that we managed to cross everyone's checklist. So I wanted to ask this and I wanted to ask that. But keep in mind of the time, is there anything as a closing remark that you would like to have to our audience, and before we say bye-bye to them and then wait for another session?
Well, I just think it's a huge thank you also for people taking time, for you to organizing, to you and all the partners, but also for people taking time, because we know there's also a lot happening, and this run to everything online has made people a bit crazy about the amount of information. So it's always a pleasure to have people committed to listen and to know more and to be curious in understanding. So it's a huge thank you for that, and hoping also that this is really just the first little milestone achieved after the impressive 6 months we had together to bring in other beneficiaries and other people together next year and in the future. So thank you, to everyone, and to our audience.
Thank you, Annalisa, for the great support you have given us, understanding as well as how do you call it? Endurance during all these. It was a tricky 2020. So thank you very much. I think that ahead of us is a small break. Let me just double check this if I'm not wrong. Yes. So we have a small break for half an hour in hall 1 and also in hall 2. And afterwards, we would like to invite you to join us on the pre-record topic, where experts from Serbia are taking their opinions about how we should develop circular economy. I wouldn't say it's only important for Serbia, but it's definitely nice to hear the word from experts. As well as in hall 2, we have a topic called how to capture circular economy opportunities in your business model. So it's more dedicated to business area. Before we were talking more about cities, now we're transferring more towards businesses. Thank you very much, Annalisa. One more time, thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Annalisa, and see you in half an hour. Have a great lunch.
Ciao.
Ciao.